Art History Online presents The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dalí. The painting is known by various names: the soft watches, droopy watches, the persistence of time, melting clocks, and many more, though its original title, in Dalí's native language Spanish, is La persistencia de la memoria, or as translated in English, The Persistence of Memory. Dalí finished the painting in 1931. Since 1934, thanks to an anonymous donor, it is part of the collection of the Museum of Modern Art in New York. The Persistence of Memory is a remarkable painting by a maybe even more remarkable artist. Though the painting and artist are big in name, the small size of the work might surprise you. The oil on canvas painting only measures 24 by 33 centimeters. Before we're going to address the most common interpretations of the persistence of memory, we're going to take a look at its visual qualities. The image depicts a desert-like landscape, adjacent to cliffs and a large body of water. The desolate, sandy plain is furnished with seemingly random objects: two separate platforms, a dead tree, melting clocks, a solid pocket watch, ants, and a fleshy being. As for the composition, we can see strong horizontal lines in the horizon and the shore. But the picture plane is most strongly divided by a diagonal line. By following the fleshy creature, this diagonal line connects the lower left of the image, the platform staging several objects, and the upper right of the image, the cliffs. The diagonal line seems to be a borderline between light and shadow. Above the invisible line, the landscape is lit. Below, it is shadowed. As well, this main diagonal line, as various other lines, creates a sense of space and distance by linking separate picture elements. Now we're going to take a look at the ordinance, the disposition of planes and figures. In the left foreground, appearing from outside the frame, we can see a platform staging a solid pocket watch covered in ants, a melting clock with a fly, and a dead tree with another flaccid clock draped on one of its branches. To the right, a little further away from the viewer, we can see a fleshy, seemingly organic being. Like a blanket, it covers some rocks. In its turn, this creature is covered by another melting clock. The next object is a small boulder, followed by another plateau and the coastline. On the right, surrounded by water, we can see cliffs. Our view ends with the horizon and infinite sky. In this picture, the most dominant colors are bright blue, yellow, brown, and a rusty orange. These colors are recurring in Dalí's artwork. The light source is somewhat unclear. Presumably the light would come from the sun, yet following the shadows, the light seems to come from the upper left, from outside the frame. The foreground is shadowed, as if the light is blocked by an unknown object. The light does reach the cliffs. The cliffs actually are the most lit part of the image. Dalí is known for his strong use of lighting and shading. This quality contributes to his realistic style, further accomplished by a delicate brushwork. The use of dark and light adds to the plasticity and sense of space. There are a lot of speculations about the meaning of the persistence of memory. This is enhanced by Dalí's strange remarks about the meaning of his work. We're going to discuss several interpretations of individual picture elements, as well as the supposed meaning of the entire scene. The landscape, especially the cliffs, resembles Port Ligat, the home of Salvador Dalí, and the nearby peninsula, Cap de Creus. The shadow in the foreground of this painting is said to be a reference to Mount Pani. In his early Impressionist paintings, Dalí depicted the view from this mountain. In Dalí's oeuvre, the deserted sandy landscape and the cliffs are recurrent. The landscape might realistically represent the surroundings of Dalí's hometown. Looking at the various objects, we perceive an unlike, irrational dream world. Dalí used a very realistic style and technique to depict a supernatural scene. The use of a hyper-realistic style to represent surreal events is recurring not only in Dalí's oeuvre, but in the work of various surrealist artists. According to many scholars, the interpretation of the persistence of memory, like other paintings by Dalí and other surrealists, strongly suggests psychoanalytical values, related to the research of Sigmund Freud. It is said that Dalí was very interested in Freud's writings about psychology, especially those about the subconscious and dreams. According to Freud, dreams are derived from our subconscious, and that they are messages to be decoded. Surrealist artists like Dalí were interested in what their dreams could reveal about their subconscious. Dalí even described his paintings as hand-painted dream photographs. The MoMA, or Museum of Modern Art, writes that Dalí self-induced hallucinations in order to access his subconscious while creating art, a process he called the paranoid critical method. About the results of this technique, Dalí wrote, "I am the first to be surprised and often terrified by the images I see appear upon my canvas. I register without choice and with all possible exactitude the dictates of my subconscious, my dreams." But let's try to decode the message in the persistence of memory. 4 clocks are depicted. 3 of the mechanic objects are soft, as if they're melting. The other clock is not soft, but being devoured by ants. It is thought that the clocks suggest that time isn't as persistent as we commonly think. Dalí often used ants in his paintings as a symbol of decay, which is referring to the passing of time, like the other objects in various states of existence: the setting sun, the melting clocks, the creature falling asleep, and the dying tree. Art historians speculate that the painting may be a visual depiction of the idea behind Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, that time itself is relative and not fixed. But that's quite possibly a shot in the dark. When asked whether he was incorporating an understanding of the world introduced by Einstein, Dalí replied that the soft watches were not inspired by the theory of relativity, but by the surrealist perception of a Camembert cheese melting in the sun. Let's take a look at the Fleshy being, a seemingly beached sea creature, senseless like a jellyfish ashore. Some say it looks like a fetus, or that it's a deformation of Dalí's own face in profile, the top of his head towards the platform. The creature does seem to have eyelashes, extremely large eyelashes, and maybe a lifeless tongue appearing from a probable nose. The soft, organic subjects are juxtaposed with hard, aggressive, phallic objects. Some of the hard objects have become soft over time, for example the watches. Some think this refers to the changes in Dalí's sexual relations, where his lover is becoming more dominant, and he, representing the hard, the phallic, becomes soft. The next explanation really appealed to me, that the fleshy figure can be read as a fading creature, like appearing in your dreams when you cannot exactly pinpoint the creature's exact form and composition. Having its eye closed, it is suggested that the creature is also in a dream state. This might refer to a dream that Dalí himself had experienced, and the clocks might symbolize the passing of time as experienced when sleeping, the persistence of time in the eyes of the dreamer. As the persistence of memory is enigmatic and open to interpretation, there are various interpretations. By making up ridiculous explanations for the meaning of his work, like the Camembert cheese, Dalí encouraged the discussion about the multiple interpretations of his art. His work is as ambiguous as his self-imposed personage. Dalí, in his typically ironic way, once said, "The only difference between a madman and me is that I'm not mad." Thank you for watching this video by Art History Online. For questions and requests, please comment.